Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Espace Real Estate webinar. And today we're doing an introduction to off-plan and a project here in Dubai, which is SLS. So today we're joined by Chaki, the off-plan manager at Espace Real Estate, and we're also joined by Riyadh, who is director of sales for SLS. So thanks for joining us today, gents. Hopefully this will be an interesting conversation for everyone attending. Thanks for joining us today. First of all, I'd just like to sort of get people to understand a bit more about who you guys are. So Chaki, do you want to give us a bit of your background in sort of property in here in Dubai?
Yeah, since I came to Dubai, I believe it was my first job to join real estate, especially off-plan. And I think I joined Espace a year ago as a manager of off-plan, so sales manager for off-plan. And that's it so far. What about you, Rio?
Okay, good stuff.
Thank you for hosting us, and thank you for having us today, Mark and Espace. As you said, my name is Riyadh Gohar. I've been here for the past 17 years in the real estate industry, of which I have been always in brokerage business, representing the client. So always been on the side of the client, and through this, been through off-plan, know the history from 2006, 5, even 6, all the way until today. And about a year and a half ago, I've launched SLS with our leaders from the construction group. And yeah, here we are today.
Good stuff. Possibly the pinnacle of your career on the webinar today, maybe. Is that fair to say?
That is fantastic. I'm pretty enjoying it right now. Espace has always been my dearest friends during the times of brokerage, so I've always loved to deal with Espace.
Good stuff. Thanks, Riyadh. All right, guys. So look, I'll give you a bit of an overview of what we're going to be talking about today, so you guys can have a bit of a timeline along with us. I suspect we'll probably be somewhere half an hour to 40 minutes on the webinar. Saeed, if you can move us over to the first slide, please. So we're going to go through, look, some of you that are watching today will probably understand a bit about the off-plan market. I think some people are interested to know more, what is off-plan? So we're going to be getting the guys joining us today talking about what the off-plan market actually is. Is it risky to invest in the off-plan market? I think that's something that a lot of people have questions about. So obviously we've got 2 experts in the room today that can have a conversation about that. We'll also be introducing SLS, the project that's here in Dubai. So Riyadh will be giving us a bit of an insight into the project, going through a few bits of a presentation there and talking us through that. Who's buying SLS? Most importantly for you guys, we're going to be doing a bit of a Q&A session as well. So I want to make sure that the whole point of these sessions is that they're interactive and that you have the ability to ask any questions that are on your mind. What we normally find as well is that a lot of the topics that we cover in the webinars hopefully will give you an insight and answer a lot of the questions that you were thinking of. But please ask those questions. They'll come through to me and I'll pass those over to the gents to discuss and give you their expert opinion. So, all right, guys, so let's start very, very briefly. What's happening in the market at the moment? Chaki, I mean, obviously we've got you know, everyone, coronavirus is sort of still the #1 talking point. I know from a brokerage perspective, we've seen things improve a lot over the last 6 to 8 weeks, and actually, I mean, rebound phenomenally. I'm absolutely blown away by the number of inquiries and the transactions that have been happening in the resale market. How's the off-plan market been for the last few months with everything that's been going on?
Yeah, to be honest, if we compare like today and the first day of the pandemic or the lockdown, it's a huge improvement, because nowadays, like you said, like you mentioned, it's been a few weeks that the market is recovering, and recovering fast, to be honest, especially in Dubai, and after the news that Dubai will open for tourism in the next month, which is the 7th, I believe, 7th of July. So, but it was affected. It was affected a little bit during the pandemic. But still, if you compare it to secondary market, the secondary market did around 6 billion sales in the last 3 months, and for off-plan it was 4.5. So the market was like not that bad, to be honest. It was good but slow. But yeah, the good thing that recovering. Yeah, that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about for yourself, Riyad? Obviously, you're in a slightly different environment to us in sort of brokerage. How have you found the market, inquiries, and things like that?
Well, I mean, look, it's important to highlight that Dubai as an investment culture, they will always attract investors. I mean, thanks to Zoom, we've actually been closing on other developers, and have been closing through remotely, and it has always been, if we look at figures, 70% of or 80% of the transactions in the past 3-4 years has been going through the off-plan, has been going overseas, not domestically. So that purchase power actually might get more improvement because there's a lot of countries that has political unrest, there's countries that have financial issues, currency depreciation, devaluation. You've got a lot of countries that stimulating in money from the federal bank in order to support their citizens. Now, similarly, UAE is doing the same, but we don't have unemployment rate. So our population here, 87% are expats. So there is no burden, even if people get fired or so on, there is no real burden on that kind of, however, globally, there is a burden. So that's why here, we're anchored to the dollar and we're not affected. But globally, there's a lot of countries that are being affected. So these individuals, they are more incentivized to move their money out. Now, they don't move their money, particularly in ready properties, because they have to pay, to make a full upfront payment. So they actually go with developers. Now, since developers have these payment plan and post-handover payment plan and so on, makes it very attractive for them. So really, a lot of people think that there are no transactions, but like Shaki said, 4.5 billion in just 3 quarters registered transactions in obviously that's in dirham in the market. That is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. I mean, I always think it's great. Look, I would say certainly the real estate market so far, in terms of our positions, has been relatively untouched. I mean, we obviously had quite an aggressive lockdown period here in Dubai. And certainly, as you were saying just before we joined the webinar, Riyad, you were talking about the fact that you got one of the last flights back into Dubai, right? You were in the UK and just managed to get back in. I would assume that a lot of your business is done by, traveling to, cityscape type style events and that kind of things around the world. Is that fair to say?
Well, I won't share my secret so that nobody else know. But yes, we travel a lot. We go more old school. We go more knocking. We not just events, but we go present value. We go present at Dubai. We go sell Dubai before we sell any product, and then we obviously feature our product to match the right candidate. But however, there is opportunities. And in 2009 and 2008, people missed out. There are people who didn't miss out these opportunities. There are those who actually jump forward. And you remember how, if we're talking about villa market, if you're talking about a Hatan that used to sell for 25, 30 million, it went down to 7, 8 million. So at that time, there was no bank lending, there was no, there was a lot of issues. We don't have to talk about the issues, but there was a lot of fundamental issues in the global market, but also over here. Nowadays, you only have a fragility of economy that is caused by the COVID, but it's really not with all these fundamentals. Banks are still lending. EBOR is down to almost 0%. The interest rate is brilliant. Some people lose their job, but others other companies are in growth. I mean, don't forget, Dubai is the hub for all the multinational companies, all the international companies. So they will still look at this area to grow to the region. So they will still hire people. So with all that, and our price ticket right now in the off-plan or in the ready properties is almost the same price of 2009, where there were fundamental problems, then really there are opportunities right now. So that's why the intelligent ones are looking for opportunities, and these are the ones representing the 6 billion in the last quarter and the 4.5 billion in the last quarter. Because these are a lot of domestic, of course, most of the ready resale properties are domestic purchase.
Absolutely. And I think it's Warren Buffett that said something along the lines of, when there's blood in the streets, it's time to invest, even if it's your own blood. So I think definitely there's a lot of people who make good money and make good investment choices through a challenging financial environment. So that's good. All right, great. So look, Chaki, explain to people, if there is anyone who isn't clear on what off-plan is. I think there's lots of different ways to understand it, but can you just give us an overview of, in your eyes, what is the off-plan market? What would buying off-plan look like for you?
The only thing that people thought that people still think that off-plan is like 10 years ago, like when you're buying a project, like virtual project that doesn't exist and it's only a land. Now it has a totally different concept, not totally different, but it has another side, which is some of the developer, they're building up to 60%, 40%, even above, then they start selling the project. So you can see the actual building, you see the actual unit. So that's why the concept is a little bit changed from buying just virtual house on a land, on a desert, This is the kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's why people like, yeah. And always what we call is like the stock from the developer, we call it off-plan, even if it's almost ready. That's in my opinion. What do you think?
I mean, there's a lot of protection rights before now and before, where, as a developer, we have to pay 100% for the land. We have to be backed by the bank. We have to give a guarantee to the land department. So really, there is no room for us not to build and finish. Now, the delays happen in off-plan is due to the fact that a developer has to pay a contractor, which is luckily that's not in our case. So that could happen dependable on the resale or on the sales. If you sell, you pay. If you don't sell, you don't pay. But off-plan has changed in a way where there is definitely the project is going to happen. It is also an attractive tool, different than a secondary market, is that if you don't qualify for a mortgage or you don't want to take a mortgage, then you can take an easy payment plan with the project that is still under construction. And that is really the fundamental difference between the off-plan and the secondary. So that's why the off-plan will always be slightly more expensive than the secondary in any economy, in any market, in any season, because of the fact that you pay on a payment terms. Because basically the developer acts as a kind of a financier.
But
absolutely. I mean,
when it's ready,
on his return on equity, if he's running his capital, his leverage is on if he's renting it out, then he leverages if there's a post handover, or he leverages on the payment plan instead of, maybe he gets some interest from the bank or from his work, and that pays off. So that's basically the fundamental difference. And again, a lot of people like to buy something new, not used before. There is a lot of new projects that the country is coming up with, developers are coming up with, which are more sophisticated in terms of technology, in terms of brand. It's always good for, there's an appetite always for an off-plan, because technology is advanced very quickly and people want to look into something that is new and newer, not something old.
Yeah, I mean, certainly from my perspective, I think that the stigma with off-plan for a long time has been that, we're going to, an event like Cityscape to talk about a project that's going to happen on a plot of sand out in the desert somewhere that, is hopefully going to get built in 5 or 10 years. And the reality now is that we're talking about properties and projects that, we're at the point of, you can touch and feel it, right? You can walk into it, you can see the building or the project, the villas, whatever it might be. You can get a good idea of that community and move around it and that project, that building. Whereas before, I think that unfortunately in the earlier days, certainly when I arrived in Dubai, there was developers that were sort of unheard of, unnamed. They were launching one project, using the money for marketing campaigns for the next project. The second project would pay for the first one, and there's this kind of domino effect that happened. And I think that's one major change that obviously RERA have put a lot of regulation in now to make sure that developers can't take advantage. But also, you were talking about, a model in a showroom, and now we're talking about developers taking on a huge amount of that risk themselves, and then actually being able to show you something that is, very, very close or a long, long way into the development stages before you even start looking at the purchase, right?
It's exactly like the example of SLS, because I believe SLS didn't launch the project until the last October, which is they were building since 2018.
2016 we started. It's actually the fastest skyrise being built in the region. We are the contractor, and that's what puts us a little bit a niche or an advantage over here. We're one of the largest construction companies in the world. We're ranked 126 worldwide. So now we are the contractor and the developer. But yes, a lot of developers are doing this per se. the edge that we have as being a contractor, we have a power on that. So we started 2016. We built 5 basements, which is very, very difficult to do for any developer or contractor here. And we went 10 parking lots, so 5 basement, 5 parking pods, and then we went up to 65%. When we reached 65%, we started selling, exactly. So we actually have something to show, not just on paper.
Yeah.
And it worked well for us. I mean, it's a heavier, obviously, financial load. But all what you're saying is absolutely correct.
Good, and so I think, look, that moves us on to one of the big questions that a lot of people have is, you know, is the off-plan market risky? What are the risks involved, Jackie? So, you know, what I think it would be unfair to say that you know, investments are risk-free, regardless of whether that's the stock market, whether that's buying gold, you know, commodities, whatever it might be. You know, completed real estate anywhere in the world, there's always risk. But what do people really need to look out for if they're going into the off-plan market? Not necessarily SLS, but as an overview of the market, what do they need to be careful of?
Actually, this is the number one question that everybody asks before investing or buying, even if they are end users in off-plan. Is it risky? It is, to be honest. It's like any other business, any other investment around the world, not only in Dubai. But also, I'm gonna bring the fact between 2008 till now, everything has improved, especially for investing in Dubai, because DLD control it now more, and it has more regulation to minimize the risk of investing in off-plan. For example, I don't know if everybody's familiar with the Escrow Account. They created something called Escrow Account, which can guarantee your money back if something happened, or in case something wrong with the project. Escrow Account, let me just give you a quick brief about Escrow Account. Escrow Account is a mutual account between the developer and the DLD, actually opened by the developer when it has certain project in the bank, but controlled by the DLD. And when they reach certain level of construction, DLD release certain amount of money compared to what kind of services are you getting back. So this is the most high secure thing to put your money in. Second thing, why I find it like less risky, because of the payment plan, because you're not putting your full amount, your full cash on something that you don't own yet. Well, you start payment, and you start actually from the first day that you do the booking or the payment. You start, like, let's say for example you start paying 10% as a deposit or the first payment. You're getting a code from DLD, which is similar to title deed, like pre-owned of the unit, until you pay the full amount, and then they release the unit and you get the full DLD, the title deed, sorry. So second thing that they have to pay attention for is dealing with trustworthy developer with a good reputation in the market, that they have track record for their sales, track record for the reputation. Example, SLS, Amar, Neshama, those big developer, they always deliver the quality that they promise to, in case of the size, the quality, everything. So those are the facts that people, they need to pay attention for, and this is actually what our job to help our investors or our clients with.
Yeah.
To guide our client, because it's also affect our reputation for selling. Like for example, if I'm selling a project that's fake or with a bad reputation, it will affect my reputation during the years and as fast, obviously. So minimizing the risk, it was the goal of Dubai Land Department since 2008 till now. So I think, is it risky? But not that much. Like as I told you, if you know what you want and you choose the right product or the right developer, there's nothing called as a risk.
Yeah. So there's a question come through here, guys. Why should we go to a broker rather than going direct to a developer? I guess I'll let you answer that, Jackie, because in that, what's the benefit? What's the upside? What's the downside? I'd maybe let you both handle that.
Yeah, actually, I can answer the question. Well, I mean, what's the I mean, there's really no advantages if you come to the developer directly, because the developer will be biased to sell his product. When you go with a trusted agent, that's named SPAS and at Chucky, who will have the whole knowledge of the market, understands. I mean, a lot of buyers think that they know everything, but we as brokers meet all the other types of buyers and understand the emotions behind their purchase. So when Chucky goes around and he sees the right product, like he said, the right developer, the right product, the right asset, and understands the emotions behind the purchase, if there's really a demand for this, if there's not, then he can actually fit the right product. Financially, it doesn't make any difference. If you come directly to me, it's the same price if you come with the broker. I'm not going to give you a discount or here if you come direct. So it's the same thing, but you're actually going to get an advantage if you have an access with the. It's a disadvantage for me in a way, because I want you to only show my project, not show any other project. But Chucky will be keen on showing the best 2, 3, 4 projects that fits the client's requirement. So
good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Yeah, perfect. All right. So yeah, and look, guys, again, questions. We welcome the questions. I'll pass those across to Check-in Riyadh if you have anything that you want to ask the guys. So please keep those coming along, and thank you for the questions there. Okay, right. So let's move on to the next point. Something else. There's a lot of question marks over and we touched on this a little bit at the start. Is it, in your opinion, a good time to buy in off plan? Why would we buy off plan now?
Okay. Let me start, because you're going to promote SLS for sure.
No.
So, in my point of view, it's always the right time to invest, especially now, because there's a few points that Riyadh mentioned a few minutes ago, that right now, during the pandemic, and also the competition is so high in off-plan. There's a lot of projects, a lot of good projects with the good prices and stuff like that. So now most of the developers are flexible more with the payment plan. They're offering longer payment plan or maybe post-handover payment plan. This is maybe one of the good reasons to buy it right now. And the second thing, I believe that now even the bank is offering the lowest rate ever that I've ever seen, and also the deposit. Usually it's like 25% that you have to pay. Then they will then the bank will handle 75%. But now you can reach up to 20, 15, something like that. You can. This is the good thing right now. Also, the interest rate is lower than before. So yeah, I believe now is the good time to invest.
So basically, I mean, would you invest when you come into an unstable market or a stable market? Would you wait until the market becomes stable and everything is great, so you are getting the second wave following, or you want to lead? Now, for you to understand that, you have to ask yourself, how do I buy now? Not is it the right time to buy? It's how do I buy? Now, for that, you have to understand that the business in the real estate in Dubai has been always volatile, and that's why people make money quickly, and depending on when you sell and when you buy, it's very volatile. Now that volatility comes because Dubai in a way has a very and I mean the UAE has an incredible foresight for business and economy. They lead by supply, they don't lead by demand, and that is a very important aspect to understand. In infrastructure, in technology, in healthcare, in real estate, it's not anything different, but everybody's only fixated on real estate, that they're building too much, but they're also doing everything else in all types of infrastructure that is not really demanded or needed right now. So that's a foresight. Now, on the short term, it does affect private businesses, it does affect retail because there's saturation of many. On the long term, it does help in improving the economy. So right now, consider that we are in the short term. Happened, caused, triggered by COVID, but we are in the short term where we have an excessive supply of something, technology, whatever it is. So you have people that can come in and get the benefit out of this. And the benefit out of this is that developers like Shaki started giving a lot of offers, promotions, and. Another thing, not only in off-plan, but in the ready property, if you were keen on buying a property and you're thinking that the market is going to drop another 10%, do you wait or you go and offer that 10% negotiation? So you go and you offer the 10% now and you get the price of the future. So really it's understand how to buy, not understand is it the right time to buy. This is a brilliant opportunity right now. And again, it's lead by supply economy, not lead by demand. And it does help us. It put us on the map. It put Dubai on the map for the whole you know, 10 years, we became one of the top 4 or 5 countries around the world to bring cash in injection to Dubai. So yes, it is I would say it is a brilliant time, but just choose the right asset. Not that I'm selling SLS, but as a broker, wearing a broker hat, there's a crowded supply right now. So when you have a crowded supply, you need to choose the right asset, not the cheap asset. You need to choose the one that will actually hold value domestically. Yeah. Today, if I can exit, the other question is always to answer, how can I buy is, can I exit? Meaning, can I resell this my asset? Can I rent my asset? Will my rent cover my mortgage if somebody else gets a mortgage, or if somebody else? So I have to think about my other guy that will buy from me. Can he also exit or not? Whether he gets a mortgage or sell or rent, and that is how you choose the right asset. So not only it's cheap, but really has a value and has a reason behind that investment.
Yeah. So I mean, some more questions here. I've got one from Shahil. Businesses are suffering and sentiments are not favorable. So in that scenario, how do you expect the oversupply of houses stroke condos get occupied by tenants? Property prices and rents have declined like crazy. Do you expect them to revert? If yes, timeline?
Well, I am a living example of such pain. I have my own food business. So as everybody knows, food industry has taken the toll amongst, or probably leading in Dubai, the highest or the toughest industry. I've had to shut down my restaurant and my operation for at least now 3 months, 3.5, 4 months. But on the other side, I have a bank that is giving me, I have a house, I live in the lakes and I have a house mortgage. So the bank has given me deferment of my loan. The auto loan is also being deferred, and I don't need to pay my credit cards so there are a lot of flexibility from the government that you would not see in a lot of countries, but you also see in a lot of countries. So that would support me. So that buys me time for the recovery. And luckily, we're actually seeing recovery right now. The rates of cases are declined, and then. Now, so I'm a living example of this. I can hold on my property for a little bit longer. I can sustain for a little bit longer, and a lot of people like me like this. Now, on the other side, yes, there's a lot of people who have lost their jobs, and a lot of banks are chasing them. However, the country has said, we're not going to freeze everybody's accounts. We're going to be flexible. We're going to wait. We're not going to bounce checks. We're not. So there's a lot of rules that came. If you read, I mean, I have a thing about the UAE initiatives that has been done, and compiled them all in a presentation, which maybe we can share them all with them later. That they have really said you're not allowed to cash checks. You're not allowed to bounce checks. Put people in jail. All these things during this period. Now, it does affect the rental market, but it also does affect the purchase value. So everything drops in the same category. Now, with that, the only unfortunate part which hurts an economy is depreciation. So inflation is good for an economy. Deflation, people might think, oh, the price of goods is cheap, it's low, so it's good. But deflation is actually hurts the economy. It doesn't help the economy. A low inflation is good, but a deflation is not good. So, but what's happening right now is that there's a lot of support from the government, and companies, they're for example, everybody heard about Emirates, but Emirates is now till September, not today. So they still have a bit of a time to secure, and the rent is paid, and so on. I think recovery, to be honest, I think recovery would have to. We're not going to see any form of recovery, but maybe stability, no further decline by Q1 2021. We will start seeing a bit of a stability. From what I see personally, we're getting a lot of requirements and bookings for overseas clients to come and invest over here. So there is a lot of companies that are registering their companies over here. Taken, for example, China has more than 300,000 population over here right now in just the past 4 or 5 years, and they've registered more than 4,000 or 5,000 companies. So these companies, and everybody says China's here, China's here, China's here. Were they here to do businesses? They don't just here to put money and leave. So there's a lot of things that are. Etihad Railroad, they just won the tender of the the China railroads. So they will bring hundreds of their employees to come, and Huawei just expanded. They have more staff right now. So there are people that are also coming. It's not only people going out. And the flow of people that are being fired or going out are very, 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 very nominal. It's not that high. So, but just negative news sells better. But it's really not that harsh. There are obviously communities that will be affected. That's why you choose the right asset. Don't go and invest in something that is really doesn't have any reason for an investment, because luxury will become affordable. When luxury becomes affordable, people will move towards more prime areas and rent at a better rate. Exactly. Similarly, buying as well.
What's happening right now, man?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. Another one here. We've got, what are your opinions on the oversupply issue that has plagued Dubai for a few years now?
So again, which we just tackled on that, which is the overcrowded, oversupply. It's crowded supply, but it's a lead by demand, not lead by supply. Sorry, not lead by demand industry. This is the fundamental foresight of the country in, like I said, real estate and technology and so on. They build and then they open businesses. They open infrastructure to bring more population to invest and fill in. So of course, it will affect on the short term. You won't find so many tenants for this oversupply, overcrowded market. That's why you choose wisely, but it will recover when we get into this is a short phase. When we get into the longer phase, the better phase, where you have the market is better, then it recovers. And then again, they enter into a more supply. And then again, so this is basically the trend over here. That's why the volatility is quick, but you tend to make money in a short term. So this will finish quickly. It won't take so long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, look, I was here in, I came to Dubai, moved here in 2007, and I know the conversations that I was hearing. A lot of people were saying Dubai's over, that's it, nobody's going to come back, everyone's just going to leave. Obviously there was a lot of stories of cars being left at airports and things like that. And just a couple of years later, 2010, 2011, all of a sudden the market starts taking off again, and people can't believe it. And very quickly we then came into an environment where the Dubai government is almost trying to slow down that pace. They're saying, look, let's decrease the loan to value, not increase it. Let's increase the charges at Land Department for transfer fees, and all of a sudden they're saying let's not have that issue that we had in 2007, which was 2008, which was just compounded by the global crisis, right? There was the same conversations then. Who's going to live in all of these properties? Who's going to live? And right then we had a population of 1.6 million. Right now we're at 3.2. So that oversupply that came at that point was perceived as a massive oversupply. I mean, if you're equipping yourselves, as you said there, Riyad, if you're equipping yourselves for a population of 2 million and you're currently sat at 1.6, then sure, you've got an oversupply of 400,000. Right now we're sat at 3.2. So now that 2 million becomes a massive undersupply, right? So I think it all depends on what the future plans are, and certainly we know. One thing we do know from being in Dubai for a long period of time, or those that have, is that Dubai does respond very well. We have an incredible place to live and call home. We are a connection between the East and the West in terms of a business hub, in terms of a shipping and cargo, a lot of benefits, as well as the tax benefits and the great weather we get the majority of the year. So there's always going to be a demand now, and certainly when people said to me in 2008, nobody's ever going to return back to Dubai and that's it, finished, I kind of, a relatively young age then, there was some alarm bells that came up. Okay, guys. So
if you remember our previous conversation where we were talking that every summer you hear the same thing. People are leaving, they're not coming back. Then September, here we go, everybody come back in maybe different way. So this is the case in Dubai.
There was an interesting conversation the other day. I said that rental values always drop through the summer. So if you have to rent your property out in the summer, the rental value will drop. Somebody challenged me on that and said in an earlier webinar I'd spoke about how rental transactions stay solid. And I said, well, it's true, both happen. The rental values drop, but we still do rent a lot of properties. The challenge is, it's not the volume of properties that we rent out that's the issue. It's the volume of properties that come onto the market at the end of the school year. because families don't leave in the middle of a school year; they leave at the end of a school year. So if we have 100% of units on the market and 100% of our rentals, and then that 100% of rentals stays the same, but the increase of supply goes up to 200%, we're still renting the same amount of units. There's just a lot more in the market. So supply and demand doesn't necessarily mean demand's gone down, right? Sometimes it just means supply's gone up. So look, moving on, guys. Let's talk about the project now. So look, we've got a lot of people logged in talking about, that want to know a bit about the market, and obviously I'll encourage more questions to come through that we'll answer at the end. Let's talk a bit about the SLS project itself. I think we've got some slides and a bit of a video at the end. So I'll let you guys communicate with Saeed to move the presentation along now. So Saeed, if we can move on to the next part. Okay, so I guess I'll leave that over to you, Czech and Riyadh, to talk about the project.
Yeah, many people have been asking me, especially my client, why I'm focusing so much on SLS. And I'll be like totally honest. I focus on the high-end or top developer, like I mentioned before, Nishama, Amar, SLS, all the top developer. This is how usually. But SLS grabbed me like in something like it's a very unique project. It's a one building, first of all, that the people they need to know, and it's one building, 75 floor, up to 34. It's 35, 53, 33. Yeah, 33rd. It's the residential. Then above that, it's a hotel. It's quite rare to find something like that in Dubai, when you find the hotel and the residential on the same one building. This is what's unique about it, because you can use both amenities when people have a lot of more services from the hotel, so they don't have to move to the hotel. This is the good thing. The other thing is that it has a super prime location. If I can show, Saeed, can you go to the slide?
I mean, that could tell.
Yeah,
could tell you
like, yeah, very close to downtown, on the corner of Business Bay, the interact of Khail Road and Boulevard Road, or yeah, sorry, Boulevard Road and the Khail Road. So when it's really a prime, yeah, it's a really prime location, close to everything, DIFC, downtown, Business Bay. Everything that you have, everything that you need, it's over there. Also, I'm just going to mention the unique thing that I see from as a broker or as a sales guy, which is one of the unique developer that it has the studios and the one bedroom and the two bedroom, all of them with a different view. Like some of the developer, they put the smallest units on the backside, which has no view. But this one, you can find a studio facing Burj Khalifa. This is the good thing about it. The other thing that I love about this project is first thing is the studio starting with the 700 square feet around, which is you cannot find in another developer, or another developer called the one bedroom. Sorry, the studio, they call it one bedroom for it, just to heat it as a one bedroom for the investors. This is the good thing about it. And because many developers recently went to the affordable prices, affordable unit to sell, not the space, as more into investors more than end users. But this is the project that it's really attracting, that it has both sides. What else? I will leave you.
So I mean, when we looked at going through this project, what Shaki just mentioned is we looked at what is a right investment project, and a right investment project is an end user project. If your project is not an end user project, then it's not an investment project. What's been happening in the past 4 years is that developers been going through the affordability, but in reality, it's not really affordability. It is price per square feet is really high, but you're building very small sizes so that you can justify getting your shareholders to invest more in your company and getting higher returns. So they couldn't sell it domestically. So that's why, like I said in the beginning of the conversation, 70–80% of the transactions of overseas are happening from overseas, or of plan are happening from overseas. So we identified a gap that it's been maybe 5 years and before that developers were building proper sizes, and domestically you are looking for size over here, you're not looking for something very small because you don't have population. China has population, so they have to condense small sizes, but we don't have here. So when we looked at that, we looked at sizes. That is the number one we looked at. Our studios, like I said, 700 almost square feet. Our 1 bedrooms are 1100 square feet. Our 2 bedrooms are over 1900 square feet. Now, the project itself, it's a mix of 3 components. There is the residential component, which we are selling, then the hotel apartment and the hotel rooms, which are going to be managed by SLS. Now, we are the contractor and the developer. We are one of the biggest contractors worldwide. We built some phenomenal projects, and we are in so many industries, in the construction, infrastructure, aviation, and so on. What we've built in this project is we built something that is a destination, and really the true meaning of destination. So we have the 7th to the 33rd are the residential component, whereby each 2 floors are 1 floor. So the 7 and 8 is 1 floor, for example. So meaning that the 2 bedroom are duplexes, they are on 2 floors. The 1 bedroom, we have the loft and we have the 1 bedroom duplex. So again, the 1 bedrooms are on 2 floors, and with a beautiful terrace, actual terrace, not a balcony. So a square shaped with a 180-degree view. What we built it is we built the tower on 2 foundations that brings you 4 axles. So 1 axle overlooking this way shows 180 degrees. So you'll never have an obstruction of views. Now, because we are the contractor, we built really nice space, nice design, but also like the loft and so on, but also with a very high-end materials. So all our finishes are Italian, are German, are Swedish, French, American. We're talking about the top, the biggest, the most famous #1 aluminum frames in the world, Schuko, German. This is all our apartments. And we have very high ceiling. Our clear ceiling height for the simplex is 3.1. So that's for the studios. The lofts, we're talking about 7 meters. So again, you get your grand space, but because we are the contractor, it's in-house, right? So you will really find our price per square feet cheaper than the market around us for a very standard residential apartment. And that's what we create, a very powerful niche. Now, over that, we went on to the hotel. Above the hotel is the whole public floors, where we have something redefining the hospitality region over here. So we built all the public floors, all the entertainment are on top.
As showing as the presentation.
As showing as the presentation. So now we wanted to bring a hotel operator that is going to create a buzz for such a product that we built. And not a lot of people know SLS. It's a company. It's a very high-end boutique brand in the US, owned by a group called SBE. And SLS is really the rising stars of hospitality. The company started in 2002 by creating the most exclusive fine dining, clubbing, and spas in the US. You're talking about Hollywood celebrities. You're talking about royal families from all around the region, from all around the world. They are very, very much affiliated with this brand. And so we wanted that brand to be, it's very classy, but we wanted it to come and operate for us. So this is the first time ever that SLS is coming out of the US. Their flagship is in Beverly Hills, but they're also in Miami, Bahamas, and elsewhere. So now they have their own brands, a very famous brand, so not made up brands. So on the 69, above 300 meters, we have the CL Spa. CL Spa is a very famous spa. Again, celebrities, you can go on Instagram, you check CL Spa, and you'll know what it is. Then on the 70th Filia, that's the all-day specialty restaurant. On the 71st is the Sky Lobby. So everybody's gonna take one of 4 express lifts, 7 meters a second, going all the way up to the 71st to check in, or to just enjoy the sitting, terrace, and so on. So enjoy above the cloud kind of experience, and proper, because it's not congested. You have balconies, you have terraces, you can go outside, and so on. Then we have the 73rd is the banquet room. 74th is Karna. That's a fine dining restaurant owned or jointly owned by SBE and Dario Cecchini. He's a very famous Tuscany 200-year-old family. Beautiful, beautiful, famous steak restaurant, fine dining. And then we have Privilege, which is a day venue and a night venue on the top, on the 75th floor, and 2 infinity pools on both sides that has the entire view of Dubai. You can even see Sharjah from there. And on the residence floor as well, on the 6th floor, we've got a lap pool, leisure pool, kids pool, sun.
Can we move to the
and we can show you the picture of
9.
9. So this is, so you have the lap pool, leisure pool, kids pool, entertainment pool, sunbed pool with a jacuzzi. You've got on the whole 6th floor 33,000 square feet of kids club, techno gym.
Can you mention how many elevators you have in total?
We've got 28 elevators.
Oh, 28.
We got fire lift elevators. We've got service elevators. We got the day event, the privilege on the 75th has its own entrance with its own elevators. Then you have your own elevator in the crown parts. Then you have elevators to go up to the hotel lobby. Then you have elevators that goes down to the hotel rooms, others that goes to the hotel apartment, and others that goes to the residential. And all right next to each other, so you don't have to like, run around and go on basements and here and there. So it's very, very well planned. And if you go back to the slide of the lofts, and it will show you. Go back, please. Yeah. So.
No, again. Yeah. Next one, please. Next.
So
one, please.
Here you see the.
Next one.
Next slide. So here you see the finishes. You see the all the flooring are Italian. By the way, we're almost ready. We're going to hand over Q4 this year. Completion is in the next couple of months, but
September.
We're actually, all our building is almost ready. People can go to the actual building and see the units.
The actual
ready.
They can see the actual.
We have the show apartment, of course, and we have our sales gallery. But you can actually go and you're selling a dream, but you're buying a reality. So it is actually, you can actually see and touch what you're buying.
This is exactly, Mark. This is why this kind of project. This is why I was interested in. Is it suits the Dubai lifestyle. This is what I wanted to tell people about it. It's not something that really cheap and not something really expensive. Is Riyadh likes to call it like affordable luxury, but it suits exactly Dubai lifestyle, especially downtown business area, this kind of thing.
I mean, really, our trading, if you compare our trading in the past 3 months versus the trading in Business Bay off plan, not like us almost ready, but actually off plan, we're cheaper by 4 or 5% per square foot, but we're selling at proper sizes. That's why we take pride that we have sold 50% of our current sales are to end users domestically over here. So we're not like we've sold 100% to investors like a lot of projects. No, we're actually, because we have given something that people really need. So that is, and SLS, when you just go and Google SLS or go on YouTube SLS and see the entertainment and the lifestyle that they do when it comes to hospitality, it is phenomenal. So that will create on its own an incredible brand from operation. So imagine in global facts, any branded residence should increase the value of a property by 35%. That is in global fact. This is a global brand. Now we're not factoring in that price, because I'm telling you, I'm selling already cheaper per square foot than the market next to me. So imagine when somebody comes having that brand operating it, that will reflect on a beautiful reputation, that will reflect on a gross. So there is a really room for capital appreciation as well. And again, we have a lot of even tenants from design districts asking us, when are you going to hand over, because we would like to rent.
I had this question also.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've never been to an SLS hotel, but a good friend of mine has been to both Beverly Hills and Miami. Apparently, you can see the Hollywood sign from the hotel in Beverly Hills, and he said it's just it's a very common celebrity hangout in Beverly Hills. So certainly, I know of that. It's sounds like an amazing project that they've got over there, or that you guys have over there. Question that's come through here as well is something that you were talking about there, Riyadh. Said, what's the actual carpet area of a unit which is sold as 750 square feet? So I don't know the exact unit sizes, guys, if there is a 750 square foot unit, but if you talk about a unit of a certain size, how much of that is, carpet area, how much of that is terrace? What's the sort of breakdown on something like that?
Obviously, as you know, in Dubai, the law is you cannot have a gross area. So carpet area includes the terrace plus your inside, your internal area, but it doesn't include all the outside, corridors and so on. So the sellable area is both together. The internal, for example, the studios. Are you talking square meter or square feet? The question is in
square feet. Square feet. The question is in square feet.
Square feet. Okay, so our sizes, let's say, is about 698. 690 is the size of the studio, out of which about 117, 140 is the size of the terrace, and somewhere around 580 is the size, or 540, 50, depending on the studio, is the size of the internal, the carpet area. So that's for the studio. Versus if you're comparing versus the market is usually between 300 to 450. That's the average square footage. Very, very few projects that have 600 to 700. And again, they would have a terrace. The advantage of our terrace is that it's not rectangular and wasted space, or it's not tiny that is not used. It's actually a square, proper square, that is properly used, so you can actually have. And again, we build the studio in a different format. The studio usually in the market, that when you enter, you have a small bathroom and then you have a kitchen. And then you have, after the kitchen, you have the bed, and then you have the terrace. So there's no flow. Here, we built first a proper size bathroom, really, really good and very high-end Italian and so on. But then you have the bed, and we did some sort of an accent in the ceiling that you could, if you want, you could put a partition. And then you have a living room opposite to American style kitchen, not an L, but something on the wall. And then you have the terrace. So really the flow is really, and it's our, we almost sold out from the studio.
It's like a suite in your hotel, something like that, similar to a suite in an hotel.
But with a proper kitchen.
Yeah, good. Okay. Well, look, guys, everyone watching again, thanks. There's been some good questions here. I think a few of them I haven't actually brought up because I think we have discussed those topics already. I'll also be happy to put anyone in touch with the guys after the webinar if there are other questions and people want to talk in more detail. Just before we start sort of winding things up here, if you do have any specific SLS questions now that you do want to ask, then please put those through and I'll push those through to Riyad and Chaki now. And then I think, have you got any more? Is there anything more on the presentation there, guys, that you wanted to run through?
Oh, it's fine. Any more questions?
Okay.
Contact.
So yeah, just one last question here that's come through. Are you going to mention the prices? Is that something you're going to talk about in terms of prices in the webinar now, or would people come to that?
Actually, no, it's fine. Starting prices, we're talking about 997. Okay.
So, right, I mean, yeah,
but
availability right now is 1,040,000.
Exactly.
Our price per square feet is about 1,500 average, so 1,500, 1,600 in that vicinity. Starts at 1,040,000. It goes. Remember, our sizes are big, not small. Are proper, not small. So one bedrooms we have anywhere from 1.5 to 2 million.
Simplex or duplex or loft, because they have three types of one bedroom. So starting with 1.4, 1.45 up to 2 million with the one bedroom.
And then the two bedroom duplex are above 1,900 square feet. They all come with a maid's room.
Yeah, 2.9.
Between 2.8 up to 3.1.
Yeah. So some people, I will be honest on the webinar, some people were telling me, oh, 3.2 for a two bedroom. It depends what you want, depends on the size, depends, is it a duplex loft, what's the style that you want? Because I've mentioned before, there is a two bedroom in Dubai worth 12 million. It depends what you want. It depends your budget, you're looking for. This is the thing.
But then again, I mean, we mentioned is, I mean, if we're talking about my two bedrooms, our two bedrooms are in the late 1400s, 1500s. Versus another two bedroom that is, yes, for 2 million, yes, for 1.9, but the size of that unit is 1,000 square feet or 900 or 1,100 or 1,300 square feet. So it's a tiny apartment. Again, we look at the overcrowded supply. If you're going to buy something right now, don't just go and throw yourself into something that is very small, because then you might not find the right buyer or the right tenant, because again, luxury is becoming affordable. And this is something that is creating a niche right now. And again, we have a post-handover payment plan as well. So you can pay 70%, 30 until the handover, and then 70% over 3 years. So that could help you as well. If you want to get a finance, we have two brilliant contracts with two banks. And Chucky can actually go into details about these offers with the banks, which are phenomenal. And again, we're handing over very soon. It's not something that is it will take years from now, just in a few months, and you'll get the key.
And one thing the client needs to understand that buying like a unique product, you will always have this kind of unique product. Not buying a unit out of, I don't know, 3,000, 6,000 unit that it's available in the market. If you want to exit, there's a lot of people similar to you, like, and they will start competing with the prices and stuff like that. So that's the difference about SLS. This is why it's unique. It's kind of unique.
Yeah, and I think any investment, it's only fair to compare, you know, like for like as much as you can. You've got to compare quality, and you've got to compare location, and you've got to compare size, right? You know, you can't compare an 800 square foot 2-bed in, you know, somewhere out in Rimram versus something with a full Burj Khalifa view with a very high quality. You know, you've got to look at exactly what you're purchasing and make sure that the comparisons are like for like. So there, I've got a question from James here. Does SLS have mortgage facilities? I think you just mentioned that there. So yes, the mortgage. Are we at the point now? Are we close enough to hand over where the banks will engage in full mortgages, or are we still a little bit away from that?
We have a deal with the bank. Am I allowed to promote the bank? Yeah. Anyways, we have a deal with Emirates Islamic Bank that you could actually you could get the approval today, which is not normal, and it never happened before, and it will never happen, just because we've reached 95% now, and we're trusted, so they can give us approval now. And we have a brilliant rate we've negotiated a very good rate with Emirates Islamic Bank. So that is an instrument that you can take. We have also, so that you can take it on a 2080 right now, because of the extra 5% that the government has stimulated because of the COVID. So 2080. Now we have another deal with Dubai Islamic Bank, which is you have to pay 50% until the completion, but then you take that other 50% over 7 years without any interest, without any profit, I mean, because it's an Islamic. So that's also an amazing formula, and it's at the same price, so not like increasing the price or any hidden tax or anything. Of course, there is the insurance, the life insurance, you pay for that. That's a few 50 dirham to 150 dirham per month, but that's something you must have. And you have to qualify for a mortgage as an individual. So it's not like we're going to facilitate that and it's when we're part of it. No, it's you have to qualify for it as a mortgage. Plus the 3 years post handover that we have as running summer offer at the moment.
Which is 30/70, right? But
yes.
Pay 30/70 during construction until handing over, then you will pay 70 over 3 years, 0 interest. And one thing I need to mention that is, they don't know, or actually clients outside Dubai, they don't know that, and they were surprised every time I tell them. Service charges is only 20 dirham per square feet per year.
Approximately 20 dirham, correct.
So this is the good thing, because if you compare to UK, US, the service charges over there is like big, a huge amount. Over here, no.
And again, I mean, you are in the. Yeah, of course, it's a total cinema.
Oh, okay, total.
Yeah, but again, there is another thing is that you're living in the building, you're getting the services of a hotel. There's an a la carte service. So you know, you want to call a valet, you want to call a concierge, you want to call room service, baby diner, you pay for it, but it's not enforced on you. And again, there is no tower, as far as I know. I think only Armani and Burj Khalifa that are residential and a hotel in the same building. There's the rest are hotel apartment and hotel in the same building, and then residential is always in a separate building. So here with SLS, coupled with the services that you will get, coupled with that approximate 20 dirham, so it's really not that huge. Plus, another thing we forgot to mention is that you will get a membership, like a loyalty card or a award or membership with SBE globally, which gives you discounts for all within our product and also within the global SBE products for their, late checkouts, privilege, concierge, discounts, and so on.
Fantastic, great. Another question here, I can answer this one. Can a foreigner get a mortgage in Dubai if he doesn't have a UAE resident visa? Yes, it is possible. It is a little bit more challenging, and generally the loan to value is a little bit lower. But yes, a non-resident without a visa can apply for a mortgage here in Dubai. Guys, I'm going to start to wind up there. We've had some great engagement. There's a few more questions that are still coming through here now. What I'm going to suggest is that any further questions that come through, I'm going to pass on to Chak in Riyadh, and they can reach out to you and answer those. Obviously, I'm conscious that we're just over an hour now. So, it's been great that you guys have joined us here today. Have you got any sort of final things to mention there, guys, before we wind things up here?
Let's ask Sayed to put this slide. I just want to show people this is the actual 2-bedroom view. So imagine your bedroom is like that. This is an actual thing. So that's what I wanted to show. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's
And
it.
look, so from your side, guys, people can reach out, take them down to show the project.
Are we going to put the video, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to finish with that and then and then move out. So so yeah, I think from here, if you do want to go and visit the project, if you want more information, reach out to Jackie, reach out to Riyadh, and we can certainly make sure that you can get some more information on this. In an hour, it's not possible to give every bit of information you would like and answer every question. But there we go. So thanks again for joining us, guys. Thanks, Riyadh. Thanks, Jackie. Saeed, if you can just play the video there, and then we will wind up.
Perfect. Thank you. I believe the video is full.
I'm not sure we're getting the audio, are we?
Saeed, it's okay. Let's remove it for now. We'll stop it because it's getting slow, and the voice we can
Fine.
get.
Well, what I suggest is if we'll post that on some social media somewhere so people can do that. Anyone who wants the video and any more information, just reach out. Gentlemen, thanks again. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Thank you for all the questions, and we will see you on another webinar in the future. Cheers, guys.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leon.
Thank you.